That's right, Vault Hunters, the Borderlands Show is back, and this episode is a next-level humdinger. Why, Fran? Because we're talking about Borderlands 3 coming to next gen.
Sure is, Greg, and it's also getting new DLC in just 2 weeks. So Graham Timmons, we're bringing him back, and he's going to tell you all about Borderlands 3's next mode, Arms Race.
On top of that, designer Tommy Westerman is going to swing on by to talk about each one of those new skill trees that were revealed last week.
And, of course, we're going to detail everything, absolutely everything you need to know about the next-gen versions of Borderlands 3, and we're going to tell you a little bit about Season Pass 2.
Strap in, Vault Hunters. You're about to hit maximum mayhem. Remember, everybody, subscribe on twitch.tv/Borderlands and youtube.com/Borderlands game. If you want to be part of the show, kindafunny.com/Borderlands. We are happy to be back with you for the first time since May, Fran. Can you believe it?
Jeez, time flies. But
I
what
know, but your
a
hair's
banger
only
of
gotten
a show
better.
today.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? Arms Race? We get to talk about Arms Race finally and see what that's all about. Talk about everything that's happened since then, and then hang out with our good friend Mitsu. Hey, Mitsu.
Hi, everybody. Hi, Greg. Hi, Fran. It's good to see you guys again.
It's good to see you again. It's been too long. It does me well to see you.
Way too long, but here we are, and we have a jam-packed show, don't we?
I know, right? There's no time to lose, but I always like bring you on and say, Mitsu, of course, Fran and I, we get to come in here and cherry pick, and I guess not work for what, something like 5 months. So we're back on the job, but you never left. Tell me about what's been happening with Bordercast, Ultimate Vault Hunters, everything else.
Absolutely. So the Bordercast, we are very excited about what's to come. For immediately following the show, we're actually going to have a wrap-up, and then tomorrow we are going to have the first ever Let's Play of Arms Race, which we'll be talking about with Graham a little bit later on today. I'm so excited, and we have two very, very special guests that we have lined up to join Tess and myself for that. Ultimate Vault Hunters, we have showcased in the previous week both Triple G and Moxie, who brought to the forefront a Flak build and a Mose build featuring the purple tree. So that was really cool to see. That's a world first kind of deal for them to be able to showcase those builds to the world. And of course, the creator team in general, we've been having so much fun developing, cultivating, nurturing the entire community, getting to know so many cool people out there. We've had people that aren't members of the team yet on the Bordercast recently, such as Mystique Siren, and we're thinking about having Birdman778 on Ultimate Vault Hunters in the future to showcase a build. There's so much potential. There are so many cool people out there, and we're so happy to meet every single one of them. And every single day, the community grows, and we feel that energy, and we love to showcase it for all of you guys.
It's fantastic.
See, some of us have seen Mitsu recently on Bordercast, Greg.
That's true.
What, were you invited on the Bordercast? And I wasn't.
You actually couldn't make it, but I was happy to
Who
be on
said
Bordercast
that?
recently.
Kevin, did you tell them I couldn't make it? Who did that? Who's getting in the way of my schedule?
I told him that.
Gosh darn it.
Portillo. It's Portillo.
Portillo? I knew he was sleeping on the job quite literally down there. Before we get to any of that, and I want to talk about a bunch, Fran, who do you think's the special two guests for the Let's Play tomorrow?
Man, I don't know, but he's been talking up Triple G and Moxie a lot lately. I really don't know.
I'm
Maybe
voting
they're
The
from
Rock and Kevin Hart.
Ooh.
Just putting it out there. You know, you put out into the universe, maybe it happens tomorrow.
Maybe it's
Everybody
Logic.
tune in.
Logic's
Maybe it
huge
is
on
Logic.
Twitch,
Yeah, you know what I mean? That's a good point. Twitch.tv/Borderlands tomorrow,
Give us
9
your
a.m.
secrets.
Pacific. Find out who it's going to be for the first ever Let's Play of Arms Race. And again, Graham coming by today to talk a whole bunch about that. So is Tommy, like I said, but he's talking about skill trees. It's a whole thing. And that's the thing. I want to talk on this show, guys, about the future. But before we can look to the future, we need to look to the past and talk about where we've been. Let's talk about, can you believe we just passed the 1-year anniversary of Borderlands 3?
Wow. It's
Right?
been a wild ride from start to finish. I remember the LA reveal where we were all hanging out then learning about everything in the game. And now here we are almost a year and a half removed. The game has evolved so much since then in some of the best directions it's ever taken.
Yeah, and there's still so much to learn. Fran, what is your takeaway from 1 year with Borderlands, which includes, I got to look at my thing here and get my notes out, 4 expansive campaign add-ons, 2 challenging repeatable takedowns, Mayhem Mode 2.0, Borderlands Science, mini events and seasonal events with unique weapons and rewards, new features for the EchoCast Twitch extension, which Fran sold me out for, dozens of community updates. That's a big year,
Yeah.
Fran.
Yeah, I was gonna say honestly, going into it, and it'd been a while since we got a new Borderlands and new season pass type content, so I didn't know what to expect, and I gotta say it was coming fast and fierce all the time, leading all the way up through DLC 4. I was just really happy with the variety of stuff too, because the DLC content gave you something to chew on, new story stuff, new modes that you could go in and really enjoy. But I really love the story stuff, and actually DLC 4 might be my favorite with Krieg. It just was a lot of fun, but anyway, it's been an awesome ride. Now that we're leading into another season and are ready to do that, I'm super excited.
Yeah, I mean, for me, if we're talking about the first year, I personally, and don't get me wrong, none of the DLCs have let me down, but the Handsome Jack, I mean, they're going out and doing the heist, they're going out on Moxie's heist, and come on now, the Pleasure Cruise ship, everything else, the casinos, I loved that DLC, and it was what we talked about, and what I think really has summed up the post-launch content for this game is unexpected. Like, I didn't expect that, Mitsu.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I loved Handsome Jack's probably the most, but you know what's really wonderful? That everybody has a different DLC that they enjoyed. I know Guns, Love, and Tentacles was a really big hit for some of the people who enjoyed the aesthetic and the Cthulhu feel of everything. There were people out there who loved Bounty of Blood and that old Western feel to it, juxtaposed with, that East meets West, call to people Tomodachi, that's your friend. Like, everybody loved that. And then Psycho Krieg with the colors and the passion behind the story, telling a story that really resonated with people about, how we're not all alone, how we have friends and people will help us out no matter what happens, no matter how crazy we think we are.
Exactly. Well put. Yeah, right. And remember, even though we're talking about the year anniversary having come and gone, I still count that the fact this calendar year, right, still more DLC, right, coming, DLC 5, next gen launch, all this stuff that we're going to talk about in this show. Crazy stuff. But we keep dancing around it. Let's talk about DLC 4, of course. Psycho Krieg and the fantastic Fustercluck, and I need to read it off a page every time because it's so hard not to just go the other way with it. Released on September 10th. It completes the original season pass, of course, but it also, gave us a level cap increase for, as they keep saying, the foreseeable future. Mitsu, what was your reaction to Psycho Krieg? What's the community reaction been like?
Psycho Krieg is, I think everybody has enjoyed it for what it's trying to do, which is you get to go in this mind, of course, of Krieg. You get to play around in there for a while. You get to see some heartfelt moments between Maya and Krieg and learn a little bit more about how their relationship came together. You get to experience a lot of what led up to what caused Krieg to become Krieg, the loss of his family, all that kind of stuff. It's been wonderful. And then to touch on the level cap increase, I know it says foreseeable future. They keep saying foreseeable future.
In quotes,
I'm hoping it stays this way for at least a year. And I feel like most of the and I feel like most of the community is there too. We've had cap increase after cap increase, and that's fun to a certain extent, but you also don't feel a sense of attachment and permanence with your weapons. So now when you go out and you're farming your favorite guns, whatever that may be, you know that it's not going to be obsolete for a long time. And I'm hoping that it stays 65 for some time, and then whenever the last drop is, whatever it might be, they throw 4 more levels at us.
You've been pitching your level 69 for a long time. And I mean, I'm on board.
Fran, you said that you said Fustercluck, again, I have to look at the word every time, was your favorite. Why is that?
It was fantastic. I guess all of the above. Honestly, I'm a big fan of game pacing, and there's just something about the clip that it moved at, the variety of scenery. It felt really, I don't know, it was just a lot of fun. Also, the music, really awesome. And I'm always a big fan of the music that they've been kicking out for this DLC and the variety that we see there. But yeah, it was really that like game pace and the visuals and the last boss, and I just had a ton of fun with it. And I like that they took it to a place we were not expecting to go. And then, yes, on top of it, for it to even have a deeper message about mental health and normalizing like a character like Krieg and being like, yo, what is up with this guy? He's insane. And then you see Sane Krieg and you get such a good sense of like who he really is.
If it was Psycho Krieg and Sane Krieg, that'd be pretty good.
Honestly, it would have worked if Krieg just called Sane Krieg Craig. Maybe we can rewrite that in, but
Exactly.
Yeah.
As if that wasn't enough, obviously, since we were last here, we get Psycho Krieg. We all have a great time with it. We learn the messages from it. Gearbox did a little thing called the PAX Digital Showcase, and they had a whole bunch of big announcements. And I can't think the biggest one, undoubtedly, vertical split screen is coming to all console versions for Borderlands 3 in November. Mitsu, it's been asked for. It's finally here.
I feel like everybody who doesn't know at this point in chat is probably putting on party hats and blowing party favors.
Yeah.
This is one of the single most requested features in the game right now.
Fran, are you excited to throw away your PC and play with me in split screen when we can get in the same house?
Super happy because I know a lot of people have been wanting to play this. I am not one of those people though, so I can just say enjoy it. I'm gonna always be honest with you, but honestly, like it is exciting. It goes way back. I feel like there's some sentiment to it as well. Some people played Borderlands that way, and they were really wanting to play Borderlands 3 that way. So for it to finally be here is really exciting for a lot of people.
Well, like I said, that was the biggest thing out of PAX for Gearbox. It was the huge news. There was something else small that was here. Oh, right. There's a next gen upgrade, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, can you believe it? If you have, there's a PlayStation 5, there's an Xbox Series X, there is a gigantic next gen version of Borderlands 3 coming. This isn't just backwards compatibility. The game has actually been optimized for next gen consoles, which means 60 frames per second at 4K resolution on Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5 in single player and online co-op. Guys, as you get ready to get these new consoles, this is honestly on my very short list of things I want to kick on right away and see how the load times are, how pretty the colors are. I want to see all the drops, but mainly, I want to see how fast I can fast travel. That's what gets me excited, as I think the console plebe between the three of us.
It's going to make save quit farming much faster for you.
Right? Exactly. You read my mind, Mitsu, right? Like that's what it's all about, is getting in there. Very excited about that. On top of all that, local 4-player split screen, which Gearbox has said wouldn't be possible on the current gen hardware. It's no problem for next gen hardware. Remember, of course, this is a free update for existing owners. You can bring your saves in all your own content with you on this in the same console family. So, of course, PlayStation 4, you have a save. You can bring it to PlayStation 5, Xbox One. You can bring it to the Series X/S. If you already own the game on the disc, remember that you need to be able to insert that disc into the next generation console to receive the free upgrade. Keep that in mind if you're buying a PlayStation 5 digital or Series S, right? That's how it's got to work. You got to have physical media. You got to have physical media. It's how it is with a million other games, but we want to spell it out for you, of course, on the Borderlands Show. And since PAX, we've actually learned a whole bunch more about Borderlands 3's next gen plans, and we've got some brand new details to share with you today, ladies and gentlemen. Fran, drumroll, please. If you already own the game, you're set. No worries. That free upgrade is all set for you. It's going to be the update. You get in there, you do it. But the question is, of course, Greg, when can I get the next gen version of Borderlands 3?
Yeah,
the
why are you
answer,
holding out on us?
Well, because I'm building anticipation. I thought the drum roll would go much longer than it did. But Fran,
you interrupted the drum roll.
I was talking. It doesn't matter. Borderlands 3 on next gen launches day and date with both consoles, ladies and gentlemen. That means, yes, if you get your Xbox Series X, Series S on November 10th, guess what? Bam. Borderlands 3 upgrade available for you. It's right there. You get the PlayStation 5 on November 12th here in North America. Bam, it's there for you. You get it somewhere else November 19th. Bam, it's there for you. If you don't already own the game and you want to finally convince your friends to do it, they have a brand new SKU for you as well. Of course, you can get this. It's a new announcement, ladies and gentlemen. Borderlands 3 Ultimate Edition. We have the box art for you right here. What this Ultimate Edition is going to include for you is the base game, a gold weapon skins pack, deluxe edition bonus content. That, of course, is the neon cosmetic pack, the retro cosmetic pack, toy box weapon pack, etc. Season Pass 1, which gets you all 4 of the campaign add-ons that have already come. Then Season Pass 2. That's right. Season Pass 2, which we're going to talk about in just a minute on this episode. Don't worry. And then this is brand new. The brand new Final Form cosmetic pack, which isn't just skins. It's entirely new models for each Vault Hunter. More on that in a minute as well. First, though,
wait till you see it.
I know.
It's really cool.
That's a tease.
Don't tune out. You're going to want to see it. It's really
drive
surprising.
it home again. Entirely new models, not a new cosmetic, not a new skin, not a new design, brand new models for the Vault Hunters. You don't want to miss this. But before then, Ultimate Edition launches on November 10th across PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, Stadia, PC, Xbox Series S. They're all there. Again, if you buy the PlayStation 4 or Xbox One version, don't worry. You get that free next-gen update whenever you pick up a new console. Ultimate Edition will be available at a recommended price of $100. Or you might choose to pick up the brand new console-only Next Level Edition for $70 to get the base game and the Final Form cosmetic pack. Gentlemen, how do we feel about this plethora of Borderlands offerings on whatever SKU you want?
Yeah, I mean, they're doing a great job bringing out not only next-gen releases, but new editions, new SKUs. And honestly, yeah, I'm telling you, when you see the Final Form stuff, it's really exciting. And there's a lot of stuff in Season Pass that people are going to be excited about.
Yeah, and for me, what I love about it is the choice, right? Where it is like, all right, cool. If you already have the game, you're taken care of. Free update. You don't have the game, here's a jumping on point. And not only is it a jumping on point, it's the Ultimate Edition with everything, right? Like we talk about, we just had a quick conversation about our favorite DLCs. All 4 of these DLCs were great. They were all bangers. They were all a lot of fun. They all have different things to like in there. Just think about like somebody getting their new console or, you know, having an old console and they just slept on Borderlands 3 to pick up this one version of the game that has all of this in there, let alone the stuff we're about to announce for Borderlands or for DLC 2. Like that's incredible.
That means that whatever we talk about today with Arms Race is just the beginning once again.
Yeah. But talking about just the beginning and what is new, let's talk about these Final Form cosmetic pack. Let's talk about what goes into this and show some of it right here. Bam. Now, like I said, these are not just skins. They are totally new character models. And what's important, all of the existing heads and skins actually work with these new meshes. So it's not like you're starting from scratch. It's not like this is just that. Like, now don't get me wrong, I love Flak, but I've seen their bulky body enough. I'm excited for this sleek and slender new Flak,
Wow.
but I gotta say, and it hurts me. It hurts me to say this to you both. Zane looks really cool.
That hair, man.
Mm-hmm.
Looks really cool. Yeah, definitely unexpected looks for all these. But I mean, obviously I'm a Zane fan, but I was like, Zane looks so cool. So I'm really excited to try these. And like you said, with these existing heads and skins and how they work, which we haven't seen yet, it's exciting that it's not just the one Final Form.
Totally.
You can mix it up.
Yeah, so much of this is personalization and making your hunter look the way you want it to look. So there's all that. Like I said, if you need to contextualize this a bit more, you can go to borderlands.com for more information about all the Final Form stuff. But here's something very, very cool. If you own the Super Deluxe Edition or Season Pass 1, you're going to receive the Final Form Cosmetics Pack for free on November 10th. It's not an additional purchase. It's nothing. It's just a thank you from Gearbox and 2K. So again, choice in paying it back to the players, I think, has been such a message of this segment of Borderlands 3, let alone in general. It's awesome to see them do this and pay it forward and just give it to everybody.
Yep.
Again, Final Form Cosmetic Pack is part of the Ultimate Edition, the Next Level Edition in Season Pass 2, or you can just buy them a la carte when they go live on November 10th. Now, speaking of Season Pass 2, hey, there's a Season Pass 2. Just when you thought we were done, Gearbox comes out and is like, you know what? We have a bunch of brand new stuff. So it's time for us to list and talk about Season Pass 2, which includes the Final Form Cosmetics, which we've covered, 2 brand new DLCs, and more to be revealed later. The first content add-on is the Designer's Cut, which launches on November 10th. The second is the Director's Cut. That one launches early next year. So for now, let's just focus on Designer's Cut. You guys already know Designer's Cut includes 1 new skill tree for each Vault Hunter. The creator team, that's you, Mitsu, got a chance to debut these skill trees on the stream earlier this month. And it also includes a new mode called Arms Race, which we're finally going to reveal later today. To start, let's get into the descriptions of DLC 5 and get into what all that means, all right? So the description for DLC 5 reads like this. Expand your Borderlands 3 experience with the Designer's Cut add-on content. The all-new Arms Race mode is an endlessly replayable gauntlet set in the hidden area of Pandora, challenging you to gear up your Vault Hunter from scratch and extract the best loot you find or die trying. Vault Hunters can also wield the power of new builds made possible by an additional skill tree for each character class, complete with fresh action skills to mix up your playstyle. Mitsu, how excited does this get you?
I got to tell you right now, the fact that we're going to get both skill trees and Arms Race is amazing. Some people, at first when I heard about it, I heard of what arms race is and what it's about, and I went, okay, well, why are we getting a skill tree at the same time we're getting arms race? And
Yeah.
I came to this understanding where there's something for everyone here. If you love going out there and you love like min-maxing your characters and you want to put together this crazy build, here's a new tree. Have fun. Go to town. If you want to try this completely new mode, and we'll get to that a little bit later, I think. If you want to explore this new way to enjoy the Borderlands, there's something there for you as well. So I think people will be very, very excited when they finally get their hands on all of this new content.
Fran, are you ready to dive into it?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, the cool part about the skill tree is obviously, we finally hit 65 with our level. We've got those skill points, but now that's going to completely change our build as you spread that around. But in other words, there's going to be a lot of people still grinding for mayhem, whatever, 5 to 10 ideally weapons out in the wild, and there's a lot of time spent on doing that. And obviously for new players who jump in, well, they're just lucky they get a new skill tree. But
they don't know any better. They're doing that Ultimate Edition. They're climbing in. They're like, oh, cool.
Yeah, but
they're
like
getting Borderlands in the best state that it's ever been in. So like they're gonna have the best time.
Yeah, but in other words, right, there's people out there who've probably played Graveward like 1,000 times, and like now you can go back and with a brand new skill tree figure that stuff out. So that's really exciting for the folks who are really out there grinding. But then yeah, on top of that, to have this new arms race mode, which we'll talk more about, is gonna be pretty interesting.
100%. Remember, Season Pass 2 is available for $30 as an add-on to the base game, or you can find it in Borderlands 3 Ultimate Edition. The first half of Season Pass 2, Designer's Cut, drops on November 10th on Deep Breath, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X/S, Stadia, and PC, as well as PS4 and Xbox One. So yes, you can absolutely purchase and play this new content for the current gen console. And then if you do that, guess what? You get to upgrade to next gen whenever you want to go. And the cycle continues. And you keep playing Borderlands forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Nothing wrong with that, right?
They have perfected the art of the gameplay loop. So yeah, I can only imagine how Arms Race will continue to contribute to that, and what other ideas and concepts this new season pass will bring to the table.
Well, you won't have to wait long to find out more about Arms Race. Graham is here early in the digital cyberspace to talk to us about it. But before then, we want to start in on skill trees. Of course, to do that, we have the one and only Tommy Westerman here to tell us all about it. There you have it, folks. It is the brand new skill tree trailer showcasing just some of the new content you'll be getting in the DLC next month. But we're not stopping there. We want to keep talking about skill trees, and that's why we've brought Tommy Westerman from Gearbox. Hello, Tommy.
Hey, Greg. Thanks for having me.
Oh my God, thank you for making time and coming here. I think we're all excited to know what you got up your sleeve here. So, like, talk to me and Fran and Mitsu, and I guess the audience as well. What is your role at Gearbox? Like, are you just called skill tree designer? Is that what you do all day long?
That's basically what I do at Gearbox. I design characters on the pre-sequel. I did Claptrap, Aurelia, and Timothy, and then I moved to Borderlands 3, and I've done Amara and Zane, and now I'm doing these DL3 skill trees.
That's awesome. Oh my God. So like,
so much fun.
For you, like, what's the mad science behind making a good skill tree? Like, where does it start?
It all starts with just finding the right action skill, and then everything just kind of falls in place once you kind of find this action skill that speaks to that character.
Sure. For you having, I'm sorry, Fran, you want to say something?
Yeah, I was just curious if you brought us back to the original decision to do the skill trees like you have in Borderlands 3, because we haven't had this discussion with the people
That's a good point.
responsible for it yet on the show. Like, how do you feel that's all worked out? Like the way the skill trees are designed. What do you feel like you've seen in the wild that you like the most about it, etc.?
I mean, pretty early on, we talked a lot about this. Do we want to do extra characters or more skill trees? And early on, we decided the BL3 characters are all going to be about build diversity and making it your character. Like if I join a game as Amara and you're Amara, I want my Amara to be different than your Amara. So that's why we kind of went this new skill tree route instead of a new character, because it's just giving us more options and you immediately get the benefit of that new skill tree. So that should be pretty cool.
100%. But this is a great line of questioning, Fran. And I obviously we're going to talk about the new skill trees, I swear. But while we have this and that, were you worried when you guys made that decision? When you were like, you know what? Because I remember talking at launch and maybe even on the launch show that Fran and Andrea and I did, that the conversation was like, listen, we're going to do skill trees this time around because of build diversity. And also because when we added characters before, only a fraction of Borderlands players were seeing those. Were you prepared for any kind of like, not backlash, but like anytime you change something, people are going to be upset?
Yeah, we were absolutely worried about it. I mean, we knew people, like, I played Borderlands 2 and Gage was my character. Like, she's all I played.
Yeah.
So we know people wanted the skill trees, but we kind of wanted to provide something new too. And that's why, we start with these 4 characters that hopefully people like, and now we can just provide new ways to play with those characters. And that's kind of our goal.
So I've had a chance to have a little hands-on time. I believe some members of the content creation team have as well. And I have to say, like, any fears that I might have had, and they were very little to begin with, but any fears that I might have had about what those 4th skill trees, what the talents might sound like, what the skills might wind up being, they were completely fallen by the wayside. As soon as I saw Zane's shoulder-mounted cannon, I think it's called Mantis, I believe it is.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
As soon as it comes out, it's just unbelievable. So I cannot express enough how grateful I am. And to actually speak to the man behind Zane, thank you. That I am a Zane main, if I will. So it's
Zane was a lot of fun. We knew he was going to be a weird character right from the beginning, and yeah, he was fun to build.
Yeah, you hear that, Greg?
Listen, we'll get to Zane. All right, let's start talking. Let's get into it. You're already starting. We're already getting into it. Let's talk about these skill trees. Let's start with Flak. All right, I want to read from the official description here, all right, of what's going on there. This is render enemies helpless with Flak's Trapper skill tree, immobilizing your prey with the gravity snare so you and your loader bot companion can get a clean shot. Hell yes, loader bot. Thank you, Tommy. That's what I'm talking about.
It was kind of down between the Saurian and the loader bot. We finally decided, you know what, Flak's a little weird. Why not? And we just went from there, and it was fun to build the loader bot.
I was gonna say the loader bot is super cool. I love running around with it. I've played a little bit with Gravity Trap recently. I believe last week we had Triple G do a build centered around Gravity Flak, and it was absolutely incredible to see the new capabilities and the utility behind that skill. It's great to see a character that was considered to just be the glass cannon now have so much more functionality and availability to help out in a cooperative sense while still retaining a lot of that hard-hitting power and a cute little pet to go along with it too.
Yeah, I mean, that's something we tried to do is we looked for the holes in each character and try and figure out how we could fill that, and just like, well, give the pets a shield.
Can you tell us a little more about the gravity snare?
Yeah, so you just throw it in the world. Every few seconds, it just kind of knocks enemies up in the air, gives you a chance to shoot them because they're like mini phase locked, and just any enemy that goes in there, it'll just stop them dead in their tracks. We added something so you can pick the trap up, so you can end the action skill early if you need to. Just a really good usability thing.
And I'm assuming it affects multiple enemies.
Yeah, it affects a whole area, and you can even make the area huge. Like it's half the battlefield almost.
Wow.
As a clarification, does it do any damage, or is it just for crowd control?
It is just crowd control.
Okay.
Yeah, you bring the damage.
Flak already has so much damage.
They don't need any more, believe me. But I was just wondering because people may have a conception that it's a trap, so it might do some damage. So I just wanted to clarify for that.
Tommy, when you're doing something like this and you're talking about looking at the skill trees that already exist and looking for the holes, right, and the differences then that people would want, how hard is it to identify that? Like, I feel like, you guys especially being, can you still see the forest for the trees? Are you looking at feedback forums? Are you watching how people play? How are you deciding and figuring out what needs to be changed?
I mean, we're looking at Reddit and YouTube all the time, and sometimes like the holes are pretty obvious. Sometimes it's a little harder. Like Amara was she can do everything. So finding her hole was a little more difficult, but
yeah,
like we had a pretty good idea.
Okay. I'll throw you a bone here, Fran, Mitsu. What about Zane? Everybody's saying Zane's so cool in this one. Talk to me about that. I guess let me give you his official description too, right? Eliminate targets with lethal precision using Zane's The Professional skill tree. Sniping faraway foes using the Mantis shoulder cannon and its multiple charges.
Yeah, so Zane is crazy. I mean, he gets his action skills up and they're just always up, but his whole was he doesn't get to use any action skill end annoyance because his action skill is always there. So now that cannon, he can just pop that cannon every, I think, 8 seconds and just always trigger all of his action skill end annoyance, all his skills that trigger on action skill use. And then it's also just a good damage skill. I mean, this skill tree is all about just doing critical hits all the time. So he gets lots of critical hit bonuses.
This is, I think, applies to all the stuff we're talking about today and all 4 of the characters. But in general, is it harder to come up with new skill trees or new action skills? Because I feel like when we're moving around and you say it starts with a fun action skill, but is that the easy part and then it's a skill tree, or is it vice versa?
It definitely begins with finding the fun action skill, and we might go through 3 or 4 different designs before we finally decide, like, yep, that's the one. I think Amara took forever, Zane took a while, and it's finding that good action skill. We finally find the fun in that action skill, and the tree kind of comes from there.
Okay.
Can you tell us a little bit more about, like, what does multiple charges mean? Like, does it have sort of a rate of fire? And when you say sniping foes far away, like, it's mostly used at a distance. Is that right?
Yeah, so it's kind of like Flak's rack attack, where the cannon starts with 3 charges. So you can just use them just one right after the other, or you can save them, and they all charge independently. So it's kind of up to the player. Like, do they just want to fire every 8 or so seconds? Do they just want to use them in a burst to burst down an enemy?
Nice. Have you found it pairs well with anything, that you like in terms
Look
of
at Fran already trying to make his build. If you have a preference.
I don't blame him.
I'm a big fan of the Sentinel, so I use it a lot with that. So I send the Sentinel out, and then I kind of stand back and just use the cannon against enemies and try to snipe the best I can. I'm not the best sniper, but the skill makes me think I am.
That's what it's all about. That's the right kind of skill right there. If it makes you feel like you're the best sniper, that's what we all want, right?
So you actually aim this one?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So it's not like auto target and leave it.
No, it's a gun, and it lets you have to work for those criticals.
Yeah, awesome. It's super cool too, because it does appear right on your shoulder, fire off, and then it retreats again. So you'll actually see it out of the corner of your eye, actively being part of the situation, if you will.
Yeah, that was a big discussion early on. Do we always have it on screen, or do we have it show up just when you're using it? And just getting that timing just right to see how long it's on screen.
Nice. I love it. It's beautiful. It's such a beautiful and fun action skill to use. And the fact that you guys gave Zane the ability to take advantage of the action skill and anointment family, that really speaks to a lot of the Zane players who are probably beaming with pride in chat right now.
Then that's enough about Zane. All right, I'm not going to give these people anything else to celebrate. All right, let's move on to Mo's. The official description for her new skill tree is: be the proudest mech mommy with Mo's bear mother skill tree, which shrinks Iron Bear down to a self-piloting, still exceptionally deadly Iron Cub. That's a good description, Tommy.
Yeah, I mean, Iron Cub is just this little adorable murder machine just running around the battlefield, burning everything, and I love it so much. I think she's probably my favorite new skill.
From what we've seen of it,
that might have
awesome.
sold me right there. I was like, what did you just say? An Iron Cub murdering machine?
Yeah, it's an adorable little murder machine, and I always put the flamethrowers on it because it looks the coolest.
This sounds
if,
awesome.
If I may,
being the best.
What differentiates Iron Cub, for example, from maybe Flak's pets?
So Iron Cub is limited. It's just like it's Iron Bear, but you're not in it. So it only stays out a limited amount of time. The more it attacks, the shorter its duration is. And it's not as bad as Iron Bear, where the duration goes down as quickly. But yeah, it's limited compared to Flak's pet, but it's also more powerful.
Nice.
Fran, this is your chance to make a wrong right.
You want me to play as Moe's now?
Roll a Moe's on PS5 with me. We'll both do it. We'll both be mommies out there.
That sounds pretty good to me, Greg.
Okay,
I think
I'm just putting it out there. To round it out, though, let's talk about Amara. The description here is bowl a bloody path through opposition with Amara's Enlightened Force skill tree, featuring cryo elemental effects and phase flare, phase flare orb of death. The phase flare orb of death is another amazing piece of writing, Tommy.
Yeah, Amara, the thing we really wanted to do with her was just really deliver on that promise of the Siren Elemental Brawler. Like, we have some melee stuff in there before, but now this new skill tree, like, she just runs up and punches everything. It's pretty nuts. And then later on the skill tree, you can just she ignores all elemental resistances, so you just run around and cryo everything and get even bigger melee boost. Like, it's fun.
When I hear that as well, all of these sound amazing. You're putting, it feels like a lot of the knowledge, or all the experience and knowledge you now had over the past year into these new skill trees. But do you feel like they will just pretty much become the default, skill that you're going to use? How do you feel about the balance between the other ones now that you've got? I mean, because for me, if I was in your seat, I'd be like, it's pretty hard not to make this the best of all of them, because it's a new chance to excite people.
It's hard. I mean, I think right off everyone's going to use them. I hope. Hopefully they do end up balances, but I mean that's hard.
We'll give.
I think they're all going to be good, and people are going to find their play style.
Yeah. This is going to be a bit of a self-explanatory question, but why melee? Why focus on that for Amara in this particular case?
That was our initial promise with Amara, is she was the Siren melee brawler, and that's been an idea everyone has loved, and so we just really wanted to sell it with the skill tree. And we looked at Amara, and I said earlier, like, Amara does everything already. Like, so what could we give her besides just better melee?
Nice.
I love it. It's a great idea.
It's also worth clarifying for people that, we showed the trailer ahead of all this, but like, we often record stuff out of sequence. So if we are asking a lot of this stuff, like, we haven't seen the trailer you just watched, well, we haven't. And so bear that in mind.
How about Iron bear it in mind?
Pretty decent.
Boy.
Not too shabby?
The segue? That's the segue, Greg?
What? It wasn't a segue at all. It was a pun. Just, you know what, Tommy? Thank you so much for hanging out with us today. Keep up the great work on all these skill trees. I mean, is there anything you want to say to the Borderlands audience before we let you go?
I just have fun with these skill trees. The best part of my job is when we release them and I get to see people play with them. I can't wait to see what people do with them.
Is there a downside when people like break them? You're like, oh no, that's not how you were supposed to use it.
I love seeing people break the game. It's so much fun, like seeing like people use downfall to get out of maps. Like, I know that bothers Graham, but I love it.
Well, we'll make sure to ask him about it. Tommy, thank you so much for your time. Ladies and gentlemen, don't you go anywhere. Graham Timmons is about to join us to talk all about this brand new arms race.
Let the blood sport begin! Arms race! Lock, load, and loose. It's time for an arms race!
Graham Timmons, you're a brave man coming back to the Borderlands show. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm glad to be back.
I'm glad to have you back. Now, believe it or not, I've looked at the views of the Borderlands show, and it turns out that not every human being has watched every episode. So before we get to Arms Race, which sounds amazing, and holy shit, do I want to know more, who describe to everybody what you do on Borderlands?
Well, I'm the creative director for Borderlands 3 since its launch, so everything that's happened post its official release back last year, I've been kind of stewarding and guiding the game forward.
So a real quiet year for you.
No, we've every week is another week, and we've been constantly turning out stuff this whole year. But it's been a great year, and I think the game is in the best place it's ever been. So I'm really excited.
Yeah, I think that's true. Obviously, Mitsu and Fran and I talk about it all the time. But then on top of that, as we look forward for what you guys are bringing in this DLC, I think you see that as well and what's coming even into the future, right? So let's talk about Arms Race. I think I've got my head wrapped around it. Standalone mode, not attached to the story. It's a game show, and you start with nothing.
Those are all correct statements. So this is a brand new mode. It will be out November 10th. This new game mode basically is commentated by Axton and Salvador. They will be guiding you through this new piece of content. And you basically will be grinding through the Borderlands loot loop in like 25 minute sections on an all new environment back on Pandora.
Where does the idea for this start?
Okay, well, it started several months ago, obviously, actually right before we started working from home. My buddy Jason Reese, who was the lead level designer Borderlands 2, and I were talking about what content we want to work on next. He was also the level designer on the Revenge of the Cartels level. We started going back and forth, and I kind of had this idea in my head of taking these elements of like a battle royale and a roguelike game, and how we could capture that same vibe in a Borderlands map. And we went back and forth, and we kind of created this new game mode that we're calling Arms Race.
What do you want players to sort of feel or get a sense of the most when they step into Arms Race?
So Arms Race real goal is care about the gunplay, care about the combat, and care about the gear. My thing is combat. I've said it before. I love combat in our game. I could shoot enemies endlessly. And what's great about this game mode is it lets those elements shine, where you get to care about all your gear. So when you jump into this map, you're going to lose your existing gear. It's going to be saved, but you're not going to have it with you. You're not going to have your skills, and you're not going to have your guardian ranks. So it's going to be literally what you have and what you find in the level as you search out new loot.
What are the rewards for finishing it, right? I can't imagine I end it and I'm just like, well, it was the job well done. That was the reward.
Right. So the goal here is there's over 20 pieces of new gear that you're going to be able to find in this new game mode. And this is where you'll also be finding the class mods for the new skill trees that are coming out at the same time. Nice. So with this content, you're going to go in there and you're going to be searching out all this loot. And when you find it, this roguelite element happens that if you die, you're going to lose it. However, there are going to be randomized extractors around the map that you can go and deposit your gear to, and it'll get sent back to your bank on Sanctuary 3. So anything that you find in this game mode, you're going to get to use back on any other piece of the content. So there's a little risk reward. That roguelike element too is if you're playing in co-op, there also are respawn stations, one-time respawn stations that your buddies in co-op can respawn you in, and you can keep going into the mode.
Is there the capability for you to retain what you have extracted even if you lose, or do you have to win in order for an extraction to be complete?
And as soon as you get to an extractor, when you hit extract, it's extracted. So, as you play through this game mode, there is a boss at the end, and he also will drop gear, and he's, pumped up. So what the whole goal is, you want to explore and level up your gear. So when you spawn into the map, there's always a white chest right where you spawn in or drop in, and you'll have common level weapons. And so what's great about this is you're going to be searching out like, oh, this green dropped from this, badass I killed, or I found this red chest randomly in this new location. You find an airdrop and they drop in stuff and enemies around that. And so you're constantly going through that loot loop like every second. So now you care about greens, you care about blues, you care about purples. And when you get a legendary, you're like, oh my God, this is fantastic. And then you want to go to the boss. And if you beat the boss, he's got a 5-piece extractor. So, there's some risk and reward about like, when am I ready to gear up and get up my stuff? Or do I just run the extractor game early and not worry about the boss? There's a lot of player agency here.
How tough is this mode going to be?
It's that roguelike element there of if you die, you could potentially lose your progress. So that's there. However, it's not like a takedown. Okay. I'd say it's a step above the base game because you're not going to have your skills. Your skills in the base game can really be almost like a catch all for like, oh, I'm about to die. I can use some power really quick and then, I'll be fine. Since you don't have that, the difficulty is a little higher. But it's not to the level of a takedown. We wanted to make sure what's great about this game mode is it levels the playing field because everyone's coming in here with just their character. Even you could be playing with someone who's got 600 hours in on Zane and someone who literally just got to the end game, and you're going to come in and have the exact same experience regardless of the skills that you've unlocked in your build. So it's a great way to just jump in with anyone in co-op and experience that loot loop on repeat.
Yeah, that's a great idea, right? Because I think, for someone that made the wrong choice, somebody like Fran, who's going to come join me on PlayStation 5 now, the fact that he can just start it up and jump right in with me, we can do something and both feel rewarded. That's great.
Yeah, and it's not just the new loot that you can extract, is any piece of loot. So you could be playing this, early in the game, just like any other piece of DLC. You'll find the discovery mission on Sanctuary when you get there the first time. So theoretically, you could go there and you could find a great purple that you want to continue to use as you go out through the rest of the game. So you could take that to an extractor and extract it. So there's a lot of opportunity here to improve your character's gear game at any point in the game.
Will you still be leveling up while you're doing this, or will it freeze your leveling bar just for while you're playing Arms Race?
You'll continue to level up, and you'll get experience points, and you'll continue to get those all, as you play through the mode, just like any other thing. But if you level up here, you don't have access to your skills tree, so you're not going to be able to use your skill point until you return to Sanctuary 3 or to another level.
Sure.
So is your level sort of neutralized, though, in this mode?
So it has a custom balance. This whole map has its own custom balance values that also supports mayhem. It's you can get mayhem level gear here as well, and the difficulty goes up a little. But we don't have the modifiers going on in this map. We have a custom scaling just for the health, shield, and armor values for them here. So you still have that increased difficulty if you want to in mayhem and get mayhem level gear out of this. But it's respectful of not having the power of the skills available to you. So we feel like we found a really good balance of providing challenge, but still making it pretty accommodating to players of any skill level.
We talked a bit about it in the beginning, but when have our head wrapped around it and we've been playing it for a while, how long are you anticipating a run of this to take?
So when you're in this world, like I said, we've taken some elements of those other games, and one of them is the closing storm. There's a blizzard that's closing in on this environment. And so that kind of puts a time limit of, I think it's around 23, 25 minutes. Okay. And that circle is, going to randomly move around the map that you'll have to kind of follow along. But eventually it will always end in the center and force you into that boss fight. So like I said, average is anywhere from 20 to 25 minutes. However, that boss fight is unlocked. So at any point that you feel that you've gotten the value out of the zone, or you're done looting for this run and you just want to get out, you can totally just go down to that boss and run the boss whenever you like. You're timed in terms of the maximum amount of time that you use in that space, but you can also make it as short as a run as you like.
Will there be more randomized elements to the run as well? For example, will an event happen on the map and players might have to go do a thing, or maybe there's loot that appears in a certain section, but you have to face down some tough badass enemies in order to take them out. Is that something you guys have considered or looked at?
Yeah, so we know this is a totally replayable environment. So like I mentioned earlier, we have these airdrops. Those will randomly show up every run in 3 different locations. So you can chase after those. They're not free. They're going to be guarded by some enemies. The combat in each of the areas. So this is a huge zone. It's probably one of our biggest zones in the game. All of those locations have randomized combat encounters. So every time you play, it could be different. There's kind of mini twists on each encounter as well that can sometimes trigger. There's some surprises also in the map that might chase you around. So there's a lot that happens every time you play. So every session is different.
You say it's a big map. Is there any vehicles, any fast travel, zip lines, etc.?
This is all on foot. Like I said, we're all about the gunplay here. So you'll always be on foot, and we're respectful of your time in terms of how much you're hoofing it. I've always had this thing that from point of interest to point of interest, I should be able to walk to one and see the next one. So it's packed full of content. And Jason Reese, like I said, he was the level designer on the Revenge of the Cartels. He was also the level designer on Electra City, which I know a lot of people really enjoyed that map for its combat. So you should really look forward to a fun and varied environment. Like I said, it's back on it's back on Pandora around the time of Borderlands 2, that kind of environment. So Three Horns Valley vibe, Tundra Express. We want to kind of re-engage that part of Pandora in this content and have the combat that we love be leveled up here.
I guess, my one question would be, you talked about, going to one point of interest, finding another point of interest, and being able to see it, right?
Mm-hmm.
How hard was it to come in and make this mode fun and find that balance of giving the right amount, but not too much, challenging, but not too challenging? When guns should drop, where they should drop.
So we've play tested this like a ton. And, we have all those same tools as the base game as far as hot fixes if we need to adjust feedback. But basically, we played it in single player, we played it in co-op, we played it in mayhem, we played it in early game at level 13, we played it at level 65. It's really come down to play testing, and another designer that worked on this is Mike Wardwell, who also helped work on some of the OP levels back on Borderlands 2. And he's also been working on a lot of the buffs that we've been doing recently. And between himself and Jason and I, we think we've kind of found a really good challenge to, welcoming vibe for, like I said, the less experienced players. So sure. I think we're in a good place. It's basically come down to combat. You have to feel it. You can't, there's no like, oh, here's the numbers, it's going to work. It's literally like, try some numbers. Oh, that didn't work. Let's try these numbers instead. Okay, that feels better. Oh, wait, there was a bug. Those numbers weren't right. All that data was bad. That happened a few times because, like I said, all this custom balance for this mode has made our testing required it to be more thorough.
Arms Race sounds great. Thank you so much for coming. Of course, what I like a lot about it is even if you, for some reason, looked at Arms Race like, not for me, you still get all the other stuff, right? New skill trees are still part of it. It's all there for you.
Yep, it's all in the designer's cut. It's all there. And like I said, the designer's cut is really about what our team of designers wanted to show, what we wanted to do with Borderlands, as opposed to a strictly narrative experience this time around.
And I've got to imagine that's pretty freeing. I think most times when I talk to game developers, right, and designers who have an idea, they have to come up with the story idea. And so for you guys to be like, you know what, designer's cut, it's just what we want to do.
Yeah, I mean, we enjoy telling stories at Gearbox, obviously. But it's nice to make the focus of this be so much about combat and gunplay, which, we've leveled up, for Borderlands 3 compared to the previous titles so much. Sure. And to really let a piece of content really speak and highlight our gunplay has been a really fun way of approaching new content.
Well, rad. That's it for Arms Race today on the Borderlands Show. But guess what? It's not over by any stretch of the imagination. Tomorrow, for the first time live anywhere, the Bordercast is going to be doing the first ever Arms Race Let's Play. That is 9 a.m. Pacific time tomorrow, October 30th, twitch.tv/Borderlands. Mitsu, are you ready?
Oh, I very much am. Tess and I are going to welcome on two very, very special guests who we are very excited to have to play this Let's Play. Oh, we're ready.
Fran, it could have been us, but you wanted to go play on PC while I played on PS4. You sold me out, you know what I mean? Remember, 9 a.m. tomorrow, Pacific time. 9 a.m. Pacific tomorrow, October 30th, twitch.tv/Borderlands. That's the first live playthrough ever anywhere for Arms Race. And then, again, remember, Arms Race, the new skill trees, the Final Form Cosmetics Pack. It is all part of this content. It goes live on November 10th, and all of it is included in Season Pass 2, which you can purchase for $30 as an add-on. You can also get all of this in the Borderlands 3 Ultimate Edition. So seriously, plenty of ways to get it. Buy your friend a copy, even if they've never played like Fran on PS5. Get over there, play some co-op. Fran, we're doing this. Are you ready?
I told you I'm in, man.
Good. Graham, you heard that. That's on the record, all right? Delete his characters on PC after this. It's going on. Graham, before we let you go, of course, we love having you on this show. Are you down for a little bit of mailbag and giving away a shift code?
Sure.
Let's do it.
Mailbag.
Welcome to the mailbag for the Borderlands show, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, you can be part of it at kindafunny.com/Borderlands with your questions. Now, let me level with you. All right, we took some time off. We came back. We had 2 huge interviews. Mitsu and Fran and I had a whole thing. It's a long show already, so we're limiting it to one mailbag question this time. But again, kindafunny.com/Borderlands with all of your reviews and questions and comments and concerns for the next episode of the Borderlands show. Today, we're going to Gavin, who mains Moe's. So that's a neutral territory on this show. We don't take up arms on that one. Gavin says, "Where's the cross save or cross play?" Graham, where is cross play?
Yeah, it's coming. So for the launch of next gen, you'll be able to take your saves with you to the next gen platforms.
Sure.
So we're totally excited about that. Also, we support cross gen play. So if your buddy got a pre-order and you didn't, and he's playing on PS5 and you're on 4 or Series X and X, you guys will be able to play within each other's console family together, regardless of what generation you're on.
Don't dance around the question, though. Cross play. That's what he's talking about. So Fran and me can finally bury this hatchet. Is there any news on that?
Yes, so that's also what we're working on. We don't have a timeline just yet, but we're very anxious to get full cross-play support into Borderlands 3. It's a huge effort that we're making, but we're starting to see the light at the end tunnel. So we'll share more soon. I'm very sure about it.
Sure, of course. Yeah, and if I can, what I'd like to do is compliment you guys on taking that question on head on. You have done that repeatedly, and I know it's one that gets asked over and over again, but I appreciate rather than no comment or a date that you miss, you're very honest about it. Gearbox in general has been super honest about it of like, yep, we love that too, and we are working on it, and it is tough. So when it can happen, it'll happen.
Yep, it's a big feature, but we know the community really wants it and really deserves it, and so we're committed to make it happen.
Excellent.
Awesome.
Graham, are you committed to giving away a shift code right now?
Sure. Why not?
Great. Then you can act excited about it. You know what I mean? Like, do one of these.
He's sitting on a pile of them right now. Look at that. To him.
Yeah. You think that red piano just showed up? No, sir. That's a shift
thing's
code
probably
if I ever saw one.
That thing's got gold keys on it, I bet, if you lift it up. So unbelievable.
So yes, if you look on your screen or around your screen, in fact, you know what? Roger, our editor, put the code over Fran's eyes. There it is. It's been all over the screen. It's everywhere. It's there. That's the shift code right there for you. Graham, thank you so much for your time today and hanging out. And, of course, working on Borderlands.
It's been a lot of fun today.
Anytime. Ladies and gentlemen, it wouldn't be the Borderlands show if we didn't check in with Ask a Psycho.
Ask a Psycho.
Tam from San Francisco writes, Psycho, what are you most excited about from Next Gen Borderlands? Well, Tam, it's a great question. I gotta say it's the 60 frames per second 4K visuals so everyone can finally see how glorious a shirtless Psycho really looks.
Ask a Psycho.
Thanks for watching the Borderlands show, everybody. We'll be back. You know what? Let's not put a date on it. Let's just say when there's we'll be back at some point, I'm sure, for Borderlands 3. But let them work on the game. Let them do that, and then when we right, Mitsu, you're doing stuff. Mitsu, follow Mitsu. Mitsu, when can people keep up with you?
Oh yes, they can follow me at twitch.tv/Mitsu MITSU or on Twitter at twitter.com/Mitsu Show MITSUSHOW.
Of course, everybody remember that the Bloody Harvest seasonal event is still going. You have 1 week left. Get out there, kill Captain Haunt. That, of course, ends on November 5th. Then hit us up with your questions when you start playing all this new stuff. kindafunny.com/Borderlands. Follow twitch.tv/Borderlands. Subscribe to youtube.com/Borderlands game. Make sure you keep following Borderlands on social media for all the updates, for Mitsu's show, for everything that's going on. And until next time, Vault Hunters,
follow,
and obey.
Yes.